All right, boys and girls, 7:32. Welcome back in. A busy Thursday edition to the show. Mark, Lee, Michael Bronner with you right here on the sports station, WNSP and WNSP.com. Really excited to bring you our newest segment of the week. Dasinger on defense. Brian Dasinger in the house here. We're going to break down some legal issues as it pertains to the sports world. Brian, thank you so much for coming in, man. How are you?
I'm great. I'm glad to be in and see you guys and get to take part in this segment with you guys.
All right, so tell everybody a little bit about what you guys do over there at the law offices of Brian Dasinger before we jump into the meat of this segment.
Well, I'll give you a little rundown about me and my law firm. I'm from Brewton, Alabama, originally. One of 7 children. I grew up there, the son of a dentist named Mike Dasinger. I'm also a lifetime resident of Alabama. Graduated from T.R. Miller High School in 1991 in Brewton, and then Huntington College in 95, Jones Law School in 2001. Upon graduating law school in 2001, I went to work for the Baldwin County DA's office under Dave Whetstone. Then I went to work for my brother Mike Dasinger in Robertsdale at the law firm of Hoyles, Dasinger, and Holland. And then opened the law offices of Brian A. Dasinger in 2005. Our law firm specializes in personal injury and criminal defense. We have offices located in Fairhope, Foley, and Mobile. We're known, I guess, in this area for successfully representing 56 clients who refused to take the COVID-19 shot for religious purposes and lost their jobs at Austell USA in 2021. After 4 years of litigation, we were able to reach a confidential settlement on behalf of 56 clients, and that's given us the platform to help more people in this area, and that's what we want to keep doing. I'm also a huge sports fan. I'm a big Alabama and Atlanta Braves fan. I actually just took my kids to see Atlanta play St. Louis last Wednesday, which was a victory, 5-1. I played college golf and mini tour golf before law school and currently play on the Mobile Light Scratch Tour. I'm sure you guys know my friend John Rachetti.
Oh, yeah. The man, the myth, the legend.
Well, Lee Shervanian, I think, is the man, the myth, the legend. I'm glad to finally get to meet him. And
I don't have the popularity of John Rachetti. Everybody knows John Rachetti.
Boy, he is something else. That guy's full of energy, isn't he?
He's full of something, that's for sure. So if you need more information, DasingerDefense.com, right there on the website, and we'll get to some more of that here in a little bit. I want to dive into some things. Lee, I know you're really interested in one particular. You want to jump right in?
No, you start with yours. Go
ahead.
Right.
It wasn't initially on the agenda, but we've talked a lot about this Caitlin Clark thing. Mm-hmm. The news kind of broke yesterday that 11 Republican lawmakers have sent a letter to the WNBA. All right. Now, what they're claiming is that there's a potential there of violation of federal civil rights laws. What? Help me understand this. To the best of your knowledge, knowing we just found out about this.
Yeah, I haven't had time to really investigate this or to read the letter, but this does kind of remind me of a case that I learned about in law school about sports. I remember there was a case where a hockey player in the 80s, during the course of a game, took his stick and whacked somebody else in the face with it. And he ended up doing some real damage to the guy, and he ended up being prosecuted for assault in that case and I believe that he was found guilty because they determined that this was not a part of the game. Taking a weapon and hitting someone with it is not a part of the game. And I believe that we have the same type of situation here where, punching somebody in the throat or gouging their eyes is certainly not a part of the game, and I believe that this could be prosecuted by by law enforcement in whatever area these occurrences take place. I also believe that it is certainly a possibility that the WNBA could be held accountable by not taking any more decisive action to prevent this. It's almost like not doing anything is promoting other players to continue attacking Caitlin Clark.
So how does an investigation work, and which body or which arm of the law does it? Like, so according to the letter, Department of Justice, the Department of Labor, and the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission would somehow get involved. This isn't as simple as going down to the local police station and saying, hey, this girl's getting beat up.
Well, of course. I mean, I'm just saying that could be another way that they could be penalized. That each individual player could be prosecuted if they did enough damage to Caitlin Clark. However, I believe that they would not. How can I say this? By not taking action, they could be held responsible in a civil court of law.
The WNBA, the league itself.
The league itself, absolutely.
So this isn't about the individual players that are, quote-unquote, attacked, allegedly, I got to use that word right in law, allegedly attacked, but it's about what the league has done or hasn't done to prevent further.
Yes, and I believe they're saying it is racially motivated.
Yes.
So this is a Title VII issue. I mean, it'll be interesting to follow that and to see if the league actually takes any action now that they know that Congress is very adamant about making sure, protecting Caitlin Clark and making sure the league does the right thing.
Brian, I want to go. This is more of an overview of what's been going on in the last year and a half, or even longer than that. And I know you're very familiar with this because it's a big standard joke now, that if an athlete wanted to get back into college, no matter what he was doing, whether he was a pro or not, all he had to do was find an attorney, and the attorney would find a municipal judge who would get him back in there. I guess what I'm asking you is, how much diligence is there? Let's say a South Alabama basketball player came to you and said, things didn't go well overseas or something, and I want to get back and play for the Jags. How much effort is there to find at least a judge that would, you feel, be very favorable to this?
Boy, it seems like that's not a tough thing these days,
No,
is it?
it isn't. That's what everybody jokes about. Just find a judge.
Just find a judge. I mean, if that were to happen, then it would have to go through, possibly go through the appeals process. So if it were a municipal judge, then, whatever the ruling would be could be appealed to the circuit court of that locale, and then it could be appealed, up to higher courts.
Can you actually handpick a judge?
You're not supposed to be able to handpick a
But
judge.
could you?
It certainly seems like that's happening these days, throughout the country for different issues. I won't get into politics, but, I mean, you kind of know what I'm talking about there.
One of the fresh cases is Brendan Sorsby, and I know you're familiar with that. Everybody is with the gambling and all that kind of stuff. I don't know how many lawsuits are still. I think most of them have been wiped out because Sorsby's not going to play for Texas Tech, but apparently Cincinnati still has a lawsuit against him trying to get some of the money, NIL money they gave him. Is there grounds for this?
I believe there are grounds, and it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. That whole story is very interesting that, he was caught gambling, which is a clear violation of the NCAA rules and the Big 12 rules. And then, this judge that was obviously empathetic to to keeping him in sports, gave him this ruling, this temporary injunction, and now it's being appealed up. And I believe that he just got tired of being the center of controversy and just said enough with it, because the Big 12 had said that they were going to keep him from playing.
I once asked an attorney this, and all your attorneys have different views on things, okay? So, and I asked him, I said, would you ever take a case like this, where the guy's admitted gambling and this and that against all the NCAA? And he said no. But I'm curious, in your mind, and I know you can't speak for every attorney and Kessler and those, but do you think attorneys take cases like this more for the money or for the publicity? Because what I understand was Kessler was getting a ton of money for this.
Well, I would think it would be a little bit of both. But, a lot of times, even if you're not going to get paid very well, it's good to get publicity. If your name is in the limelight, then that should help business, correct? So it'll be interesting to see how all of that plays out.
He's Brian Dasinger, Dasinger on defense. If you have a couple questions, we can see if we can get to it. We got a lot to get to in our first segment here, so I'm not sure. We're almost out of time already. Time flies when you're having fun. I do want to ask you about the Terrion Arnold case. For those that remember, that is the former Alabama player who was with Detroit. One of the things that happened was prosecution wanted him to wear a GPS monitor while awaiting the trial. His attorney argued the device would prevent him from playing and practicing with the Lions. I think the judge reluctantly agreed, so it got him out of using it. Since that time, Detroit has let him go. He's a free agent. So now the prosecution's come back and said, well, that argument doesn't hold water, so let's put an ankle monitor on him. Is this just kind of grandstanding?
I believe it is. I believe it's total grandstanding. I mean, when it comes to setting a bond, the judge is supposed to consider several things. Those things are the background and character of the defendant, his past criminal history, which we know Terrion Arnold doesn't have any, his financial resources, and most importantly, the threat to public safety. I believe that the circumstances of this case indicate that it was him and this group of people that thought that this group of juveniles had stolen from them, so they were targeting them.
Right.
So does that really present does he really present a threat to the general public in his area? I don't believe so.
All right, so let me ask you two other questions as it pertains to that. Because he got bonded, right?
He did on $1 million bond and was not forced to wear the ankle monitor.
And I've always been curious about this. If it wasn't Terrion Arnold, if it were Mark Heim or Lee Shervanian or Michael Bronner, would we have gotten bonded even for $1 million?
Would you have had to?
Would I have had the same outcome, or do guys like Terrion Arnold and others who have some celebrity status in their areas get a benefit of the doubt that normal, average, everyday citizens don't?
Well, I believe that the judge has to take it on a case-by-case basis. And in this case, he basically said that he's going to have a paparazzi monitor, which is something that a judge should consider. I mean, yes, he might be treated differently, but for good reason, because he's more of a celebrity that the media is going to be following.
Okay, so to that point, there were a number of letters that were submitted to the court in defense of Terrion Arnold and his character, one of which, Nick Saban, we talked about it on this show. It was one of a few that were submitted. A couple things. How much sway do those letters have typically? And does it matter who they come from? Meaning the words Nick Saban probably resonate a little differently than, Michael Bronner, for instance.
I mean, yes, the judge could have considered them, but I don't believe that would be the primary factor to consider. That would be, way down the list. As I said, the judge has to consider the risk to the public by letting this person out, a past criminal history, and the background and the seriousness of the crime.
Right.
So if this is a crime where somebody could get the death penalty, well, they would be more likely to run than if the possible crime were to give them 10 years max.
Brian, before you were at T.R. Miller, just a little toddler growing up in Atmore, okay? So I say Atmore, I meant Bruton.
Yes,
yeah, okay. So there was a case here, and it's kind of picking up on what Mark told you. There was a South Alabama baseball player that was, let's say, charged with drugs and so forth. I'm not going to go into details because I wasn't at the trial. I just heard. And so at his trial, the coach of the team and a number of players showed up in support. And I heard, now they sent this player, and I'm not going to name names, but they sent the player up the river for a while. And I heard that the judge wanted to make an example of him to the players that were there. So that's why I say sometimes it could backfire.
It could.
And it backfired from what I heard in this case. Not to say that wouldn't have happened anyway, but there was a big turnout for him in support. He was one of our better players, and it didn't work out.
I believe that's improper for the judge to do that. He shouldn't consider any kind of bias or setting an example for, any other sports figures or teammates. And I don't think that the people coming in, the teammates coming in and speaking on his behalf should have anything to do with the outcome of the trial. It should only have to do with sentencing.
Brian, great stuff. We're going to do this every week, which is a good thing because that one flew by, and we're going to continue to have topics pop up. But before we let you go, tell people what's the best way to get more information on you and the law offices of Brian Dasinger.
Just go on to the website, dasingerdefense.com, or you can give us a call at 251-928-5588. We would love to hear from you, and if we can't take your case, we will certainly give you all the advice that we can and point you in the right direction.
Man, thank you for coming in. We really do appreciate it. Again, that number is 928-5588.
You got it.
I'll throw it in the Soundomobile app for you guys that are interested, and we look forward to doing it again next week.
I look forward to it as well. Great to be on with you guys this morning.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun moving forward. All right, so we need to get you a traffic update. We're going to tell you about the Opening Kickoff team of the day and wrap up hour number 2. Hour number 3 includes Mike Hoss, the voice of the New Orleans Saints, and some guy named Riley Leonard, maybe you guys have heard of. We'll catch up with Riley and see how his preseason preparation continues to unfold.